Lightyear was a complete and utter disaster. Not only did it bomb at the box office, but user and critic scores are pretty rough for the film, and it's not surprising given how controversial it was leading up to release, but now we have found out that Disney laid off the director and producer. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So starting off with this Deadline article, Lightyear director and producer among Disney Pixar layoffs. Now I've had to talk about some of the layoffs going on in the industry over the past few months, specifically with Disney, but now we have found out that this person who once was at kind of the top of the food chain, is now not part of it at all. Among the layoffs that took place at the Walt Disney Company were job cuts at Pixar that included the director and producer of Lightyear, Deadline has confirmed. The director Angus MacLane, a 26-year animator who was part of the senior creative team in animated films like Coco, Incredibles 2, and Toy Story 4, was cut from the studio in late May, which was part of the 7,000 layoffs Disney had planned. Gallen Suzman, who had been at the studio since the original Toy Story was released in 1995, was also part of the cuts. There was a total of 75 jobs that were made redundant on May 23rd. It was first reported. It's worth noting that cuts at the animated studios are rare, and the last time it happened was in 2013 when The Good Dinosaur was delayed. At the time, 5% of Pixar's 1,200 workforce was cut, including director Bob Peterson. It also says that their exits were part of the creative team of Lightyear, the Toy Story spin-off film based on the astronaut that inspired the Buzz Lightyear toy. The film recruited Chris Evans to voice the character, and it did underwhelm at the box office, which of course wasn't very surprising, but it did ultimately happen, and Disney must have freaked out about this behind the scenes because they did shove a lot of money into it. So right off the bat, this article does establish that layoffs at Pixar are pretty rare, especially ones this high profile, and these individuals were part of movies and projects that were successful in the past, but their latest one, Lightyear, was a complete and utter disaster. I have talked about it a few times on the channel at this point, but of course it was extremely controversial because of course it is a family-friendly movie that happened to have an LGBT relationship that was part of it, right? There was a same-sex kiss, and it stirred up a lot of controversy because it's different when things like this are put into entertainment very clearly aimed towards children, but we also found out that it wasn't something that just came naturally to the directors, writers, producers. No, they decided to force it in, of course, to meet a DEI standard. The Lightyear director confirmed that the LGBTQ character was not a part of the early development of the film, which made everyone even more furious because they basically said, what can we do to fill up our DEI quota with this movie? And then they decided, you know what, let's just add the same-sex kiss. And of course, this ultimately failed for them. Disney and Pixar, I should say, went all in with this, and it did not do good. As you can see, the budget was $200 million, which of course is a massive amount of money. And one of the major things with this is that, of course, it was Lightyear, so they thought, let's go big and bold with this. They got Chris Evans to voice Lightyear. They thought, wow, this is gonna go great. People are gonna love this, and it barely made its budget back, $226.4 million at the box office. So they just got over that number by only a few million, and user scores, critic scores online are all a abysmal. As you can see, the all audience and the top critic are an even 61%. The all critic is actually a little bit higher, it is 74, and the verified audience is at an 84%. But even recently, I have had to talk about how we should not trust the verified audience numbers simply because companies like, of course, Rotten Tomatoes can pick and choose which ones go into the verified audience. You were supposed to basically scan a ticket, like your movie ticket or your receipt, and that's how you're supposed to be able to get into this verified ratings category. You have to prove that you have actually seen the film. But a lot of the time, suspiciously, when you want to give it a low rating, it says that it cannot magically verify, the way that you purchased your ticket, therefore your score doesn't actually go into this number. But yeah, top critic is 61, all audience is 61. The same-sex kiss aside and the controversy aside, this film was just not good. I personally was not that happy with Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear. I understand they wanted to pass the mantle. They wanted to pick another actor that is very popular to play this character. But funny enough, they decided to actually go back and revert this decision. They did announce that in a future series, Tim Allen is actually going to be back as Buzz Lightyear, which is hilarious, but this movie all around just was not a very good film. I like Toy Story. I had absolutely no interest in Lightyear, and clearly people who did, have nostalgia and love for Toy Story decided to give this a chance, and it just completely and utterly failed for them. Even going to IMDb, the scores are terrible, a 6.1 out of 10, and this was a movie that a lot of people did try to reverse review bomb, right? Give thousands of positive reviews to thinking that they could make a difference, and ultimately it did bump up the score a little bit, but this movie was a flop, and now these people are getting laid off for it. I can't really say that I'm surprised, and I can't really say that I feel bad, because they did create a genuinely trash product. It's not like they put their heart and souls into this and they really tried to create something that they loved and felt confident about. No, they just did what they thought was going to be trendy and unique and, gain them those dollars, but ultimately it failed miserably for them, and now the Lightyear director and producer were among people laid off from Disney Pixar. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.